Want to welcome everyone to the February Fort Wayne Astronomical Society meeting. My name is Joe Novosel, President of Fort Wayne Astronomical. So thank you very much for coming. Tonight we have, in a few minutes, we'll have a really good presentation by Gene Stringer on the planet Pluto. If you think it's cold here, and what have we got? We've got plus 14, 15 degrees. Well, a warm day on Pluto is minus 375 degrees Fahrenheit. So be happy that we don't live on Pluto. It's a great night to be on the Earth in Fort Wayne. So, yeah.
You don't need any sunscreen.
You really wouldn't need any sunscreen at all. No. You'd have to have some pretty warm coats, though. So anyway, I know we've got at least one new member here tonight. So, Brian, if you could stand up and just tell us who you are.
Good evening, I'm Brian. Just joined the club about 2 weeks ago. I was exposed. Well, I guess a little bit about me. I've been in the military for 18 years now. We'll be retiring in 2 years. I can't wait for that. Brian Beaver, military for 18 years. Retiring in 2. I worked for Newport Building Systems. I've been there for about 10 years now. I'm a 3D building information modeler. We're a steel company for buildings, so I take the buildings and directly 3D model, basically. Really excited to be here and really want to learn more about space. So,
We're excited to have you. Thank you very much for joining. Appreciate that. We have quite a few visitors tonight. So if you care to stand up and just say hello, and or not at your preference. Okay, I guess that's okay. We have Mike. Mike is a visitor tonight, and go ahead. If you could give him the microphone, that would be great.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Maxim. I'm part of another club called the Fort Wayne Engineers Club, and I set up a tour of your observatory. So I figured engineering and astronomy have a lot of crossover, so we're gonna have a tour next week. It's hopefully cooperates with the weather. I'm curious in astronomy too, so check out what the movies.
Thank you, Mike. Very good. Maybe with so many engineers, there's got to be a few mechanicals in your group. We can take a close look at the roof and see if there's anything that can be done for it until it completely locks up and refuses to work again. Be nice if it were a bit warmer, but we'll see. So, any other visitors care to declare? Otherwise, we'll move on.
My name is Holly Dalladat. My dad was a astronomer in Angola, Indiana. He had passed away in 2020. I brought some of these magazines. They're up for grabs, so feel free to grab them. I came out to the observatory a couple times last year and the year before. I usually have early morning Saturdays or have my job, so I don't stay up too late on Saturday evenings, but I try to make it out this weekend. So,
welcome. Thank you very much. Okay. We have a field trip coming up on Saturday to the Armstrong Museum in Wapakoneta. Right now, it looks like perhaps as many as 7 people are going, including you, Kent. Are you thinking about going, or are you going for sure?
I could have it as many as 3 others with me in the military.
Very good. So the turnout
It could be me solo, it could be me, it could be 4 of us. I'm a little up in the air.
that would make with you it's 7, and if you had 2, that would be like 9. That would be huge. Anyone that is going, please take some pictures, record some thoughts and emotions, or at least write something down. We want to use the trip as a current event in the March eyepiece. So please take some pictures and share your experience. That would really be helpful. Appreciate that. So Bill and Jean, I think, are going, and the Ainsleys will try to go. You'll notice that they aren't here. They have bronchitis as a family. So many things can bring you together, and bronchitis apparently is another one of those things. So not in a good way, though. March 15th, we also have a field trip to the Charles Brown Planetarium. Poor guy, Charlie Brown. I haven't been to the planetarium, but I understand it's a really good set of presentations that they do. An email was sent out, I think with the eyepiece. So take a look at that. And if you're planning on going, please respond to the with a positive response using the email from the email that brought you the eyepiece and the flyer for that particular field trip as well. Just be handy to have a count of all of those that are planning on going, and so we can do some coordination in that case. Unfortunately, as I just said, Neil, Laura, and Russell are not here, and they would have been the ones to talk to about details. I'm not sure who else has been here to that planetarium, but I haven't, so I can't give any further details on what's there and what was in the flyer is all I know about it. So if you have questions, just respond in the email and we'll get them answered. I'm sure they have a website as well. So let's see. If you didn't get the eyepiece or you didn't get any of the flyers, do see me after the meeting and we'll get the email problem taken care of. This particular eyepiece happens to be on the huge side. It may be the reason that you didn't get it as well. I had a hard time sending it out again tonight, but it's because it's about 15 megabytes. We have lots of pictures in it this time and we didn't resize them. So we'll do that again. We'll do that when we publish the next one. So it's not quite so big, not quite such a problem. So another event that we have coming up on the 22nd also happens to be Saturday. And if a miracle occurs, this guy will cooperate with us. It's the Hubble Space Telescope 35th Anniversary Deep Sky Observing and Sketch Night. The Astronomical League has a program going to commemorate the 35th anniversary of the Hubble Space Telescope. And if you get on their website and look at their projects and find that one, you'll find that there's a number of images that they wanted people to reproduce on the ground, of course, whether you just view them, whether you image them, or whether you sketch them. If you follow the whole project to its conclusion, you could get a pin and a certificate for the Hubble's 35th anniversary. So take a look at that and maybe the weather will cooperate, but I have my doubts. We'll see. So let's see. I know we have one individual, Brian, that brought some images to show tonight. So we'll have a short show and tell segment. Did anyone else bring any images with them? Pete? Bill did. So, okay, we've got a couple, so that's good. So we'll have a segment on just sharing astronomical images. So that'll be good. By the way, if anybody in the Zoom audience, and it looks like we have a few like Geddes, and can't really see who else is up there. If you have images to share, I know that we can get them by Zoom, and so that's not a problem. So, Bill, do you have anything? Do you have an update on accessing the stars that you could share with us?
Hey, Joe. Hey, everyone. I put the update in the eyepiece so you could read the details, but we're making pretty good progress. We've got 5 volunteers from our club, and we've got 2 from Science Central that will be at the event. I'm projecting to need about 10 or 11. We've agreed on the main concept, which is going to be a central presentation at the rear of the observatory in the lawn, in front of the pads, with chairs and a central screen projector that Neil will furnish. I'm working on the presentation, working on filling in a lot of details. We're going to make this easy and accommodate people with wheelchairs inside the observatory building so that they don't have to traverse the back ground and any rough terrain that happens to be back there. So we've got time. The event isn't until May 30th. So I feel that we're on track with the coordination with Science Central. They're also going to have an event on April 25th. I'll be there to support, and anybody else that's interested to see how they handle their presentation to the group with disability. So lots going on. I'll be busy for a few months trying to work on this. So any questions? Okay.
Sorry. That's okay. Okay, thank you, Bill. And we are making good progress on that, and it's one of our major goals is to have a successful project with Science Central. I know that we can leverage that to improve our public outreach, our Saturday star parties, and all. So very important project for us. So yes, if you can, please volunteer. So finally, next month's program is King of Spring. It'll be a walk through the spring constellations, and the presenter will be Richard Bell. He is or was the president of the Kalamazoo Astronomical Association. He says he's a diehard astronomer, has been doing just about everything related to astronomy for most of his adult life. So looking forward to that presentation. It should be good. So put that on your calendar. And in fact, our calendar for the entire year for programs, you'll find in the eyepiece, and all of the speakers are confirmed. And so we have a pretty good lineup for the coming year. So anything else before we push on to tonight's presentation? Questions, comments? Kent?
At this point, we're talking about some scheduled things in mid-March. There is a total lunar eclipse,
Could you give him the?
March 14th, I think, in the early
Hang on a
morning
second.
hours.
Hang on a second. Please repeat.
Oh,
Yes, that way you'll
all right,
be heard.
okay. Yeah, I just wanted a lot of you may already know about it, but on March 14th, in early AM, before dawn, there's gonna be a total lunar eclipse.
Somewhere over
Right
there.
there,
So
right behind you.
it's,
Oh, yeah.
it's gonna require getting out of bed instead of just staying up late, but, it's gonna be a total lunar eclipse, so it should be interesting if the weather cooperates.
How far above?
Right,
sunrise or sunset?
yeah, what I'm looking at here is Indianapolis, and I think totality starts about 5 and goes to about 6 AM or something, so it'll be kind of low on the horizon. But not too low, probably.
A lunar eclipse. It should be exciting.
Yeah.
But it'll be cloudy, not to worry.
Yeah. It is March, but you never know.
It's a good thing we had the solar eclipse this past April, a year ago, and not this coming, because I don't think we're gonna see a clear day for years to come, the way it's working out.
It's good.
Okay. Well, tonight, we're delighted to again have Gene Stringer providing our presentation this night. Gene joined the society in 1966. And yes, that is 59 years ago. He's held several offices with the society. Most recently, he served as project engineer for the building and commissioning of the StarQuest Observatory. Currently, Gene is still a Fort Wayne board member and an active astrophotographer using his 12-inch LX200, which is installed at the observatory. He also frequently volunteers for our Saturday night public observing events and for other events. He'll be going on a field trip, for example, this coming Saturday. Gene's interest in Pluto began in 1941 at the age of 8. As a 4th grader in elementary school, he wrote a paper describing the 9 planets of the solar system. Yes, I did say 9. You can't throw Pluto out that easily. Tonight, Gene will tell us why Pluto remains important to astronomers from its discovery in 1930 to the present time. He'll also explain what they expect to find and what the New Horizon mission revealed. So Gene, thank you for coming out on this really cold night. Please tell us about the Enigma Pluto.
Well, good evening. Yeah, as a school child, uh, I didn't do too well in elementary school, near the foot of the class, mainly because I couldn't bear to do the memorization and things like multiplication tables and things like that. But when I read a book on science and got interested, the teacher asked for peop- are you- am I? At any rate, I penciled up a several pages of what I found out about the solar system, which was mostly just memorizing the planets. But the teacher was so impressed that I'd been too lazy to put it into ink. She posted the pencil copy up on the bulletin board for people to see. And from then on, I felt sort of a warm kinship with the warm kinship with the planets, in particular Pluto. There's some interesting things. There are millions of school children at that time were memorizing the planets. And
Please mute your microphones.
Walt Disney.
Everyone in the Zoom audience, please mute your microphones. We're hearing your conversation.
Cartoon picture with Pluto as it, and so there was a certain affection that acquired in the minds of a lot of us at that time, and maybe the reason why Pluto is so loved today. But to get things started, and for people who be reading this in some form after this, I would like to give some background here on astronomical distances and what they mean here. Let's see if I can make this go. We see here a chart of various yardsticks. On the left is the listing of the elements in the solar system, starting with Mercury, running through to the Oort cloud down below. One way of measuring is to measure the distance from the Earth to the Sun and call that number one, an astronomical unit. And so the first column shows that. The second and third columns are like minutes, like hours, next, then light days, and finally light years. And it's interesting to note that from the light minutes, it takes 8.32 minutes for light from the sun to reach the Earth. The solar system, if we go down to Kuiper Belt near, that's near the bottom, and look over, the distance is 4.4 6 light hours, double that, 5. The solar system's about 10 light hours in diameter. So when it gets out to the Oort cloud, if you look over in the far outer, you need to go begin using light years. The outer limit of the Oort cloud, where the sun no longer has influence, is something like 0.79 light years, which is just a fraction of the distance to the nearest star measured in light years. So with that kind of introduction, let's go into the subject tonight, Pluto Enigma. Pluto's dirty little secret. Let's set the stage. The publication of a certain law called the Titus-Bode law in 1724 predicted the distances to the known planets, with one exception: no planet at a distance 2.8 astronomical units. This led to a flurry of astronomical activity, and with the subsequent discovery of Ceres and then others in the asteroid belt. Let's talk about Bode's law. It relates the semi-major axis of each planet outward from the sun in units such that the Earth's semi-major axis is equal to 10, with A equals n plus 4, where n substitute 0 for Mercury, 3 for Venus, 6 for Earth, and so forth. With each value in n greater than 3, twice the previous value, 6, 12, 24. The resulting values can be divided by 10, and that converts them into the astronomical units, which would result in this expression: 0.4 plus 0.3 times 2 to the m, where m, again, Mercury, Venus, Earth, etc., is substituted in there. And what that does is it creates that column that you saw for astronomical units that you were just looking at. For the outer planets, each planet's predicted to be roughly twice as far away from the sun as a previous object. Now, we know now that there was a divergence. The black line is the actual distance, and the red line is what Bode's law was predicting. We'll go into that in detail. Let's stop first at the planet Ceres. Yeah, it was a planet for 50 years. Formally, it's designated 1 Ceres. It's the smallest identified dwarf planet in the solar system, and only one in the only one in the asteroid belt. It was discovered in January of 1801 by Giuseppe Piazzi, and for half a century, it was classified as the 8th planet. It was named after Ceres, the Roman goddess of growing plants, harvest, and motherly love. With a diameter of about 950 kilometers, Ceres is by far the largest and most massive body in the asteroid belt, and contains almost a third of the belt's total mass. There was speculation, however, that grew up in about 1846 that there might be a planet at 30.1 astronomical units. The discovery of Neptune in 1846 as a result of the mathematical predictions by Urbain de Livier based upon the perturbation of the orbit of Uranus was a major astronomical triumph. Discovery of Neptune, however, sends Bode's law to the dumpster. However, subsequent observations of Neptune in the late 19th century caused astronomers to speculate that Uranus's orbit was being disturbed by another planet besides Neptune. Finding Planet X. 1906, Percival Lowell, a wealthy Bostonian who had founded the Lowell Observatory in Flagstaff, Arizona in 1894, started an extensive project in search of a possible ninth planet, which he termed Planet X. Now, this is a man who had been looking at Mars for years and saw canals. We'll let that go for a while. Enter Clyde Tombaugh. Clyde Tombaugh there's a book here. Hold that book up. It's a biography of him. It's available to see. That's been signed. That was books by Levy, and it's an autobiography signed by Clyde and by Levy, the author. Interesting. Well, he discovered Planet X in 1930. That was shortly after Lowell's death. Now, these are the kind of plates he was looking at. And if you look at the plate on the left, there's an arrow there somewhere in the middle. It's pointing to a small dot. And 6 days later, in January 29, 1930, he found that dot had moved. The one on the right shows its new location. Now, he used this using a blink comparator that click, click, back and forth, back and forth. Phil Hudson has done a little work with a couple, and this should show you about how it works. You blink back and forth, one to another, and the only places where you have dots disappearing and reappearing are the particular planet in question, and this was Pluto in this case. They said that they could hear him working that blink comparator day after day after day until suddenly it stopped and they realized he'd found something. Well, an 11-year-old schoolgirl named Venetia Burney from Oxford, England, had been studying Greek mythology, and she suggested the name Pluto to her grandfather. Well, the discoverer observatory gets to name the planets, supposedly, and the name Pluto, Lord of the Underworld, and that sort of thing, seemed appropriate. Well, her grandfather happened to be the librarian of the Oxford University Library, and he forwarded that to suggestion to the Lowell Observatory. They noted the first two letters were the initial of their founder, Percival Lowell. And if they created a cartouche with that, that's what could be placed in all the cartographical charts in astronomy that would show the location of Pluto. So they bit on that, they jumped on it. So let's look at what they expected. This is in circa 1930. They're presuming that it's about the mass and size of the Earth due to the perturbations on Uranus. A very eccentric orbit, presumed to be stable, they plotted that orbit. And the period was 248 Earth years. But now, if you look above the plane of our solar system, look down on it with the sun at the center, you see these what look like circles. They're actually ellipses, but and you can see all the inner planets are clustered there in Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And there's Pluto, and it's quite eccentric, and it even crosses closer to the sun than the orbit of Neptune. Not to worry that there will be a collision because of that, because if you look at the solar system, like looking at the dinner plate from the side, it looks like this, with deviations above and below measured in astronomical units. Pluto is kind of cattywampus, whereas everyone else is in the plane. And when it is closest to the sun, it is well above, in astronomical units, above Neptune. So we don't need to worry about that. But it is somewhat irregular. If you made a Lissajous type that traced orbit after orbit after orbit, you would find that the regular planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune's been blotted out a little bit here. So, but Pluto traces an unusual Lissajous setup. A controversy arose in the I forget the year, they'll show. This gentleman, Gerard Kuiper, from 1905 to 1973, was astronomer at the University of Chicago. He is the father of modern planetary science. His work laid the foundation for the spacecraft missions of the late 20th and early 21st century. He measured the size of the disk of Pluto. Found it to be too small. There is no element in the periodic table dense enough to account for the mass that was assigned to Pluto. This caused an argument. Some of the naysayers saying, well, maybe Pluto's shiny. And what you're looking at is the same thing when you see a shiny globe in your garden, where the image of the sun is far less than the diameter of the planet. In other words, you have a slant, yeah, you're actually just seeing the central spot. So that's pretty far-fetched, but it is an example of how far the imagination can go when defending one's own beliefs. However, in 2005, Voyager 2 flyby used Uranus for a boost. It sent it on out of the solar system. And as it was going by, it said, thanks, bye-bye. Oh, by the way, you're wrong about the mass of Uranus. There's a correction to it. Computations erased the discrepancies in the orbits of Uranus and Neptune. Ergo, no planet X. Oops, never mind. Let's put this into perspective for those whose primary information comes from social media. We were looking for an actress like Meryl Streep. What we found was Paris Hilton. Now, both of these are celebrities in their own side, in their own realm, but they move in different in different circles, and I don't think Paris Hilton will qualify for any Oscar nominations or Oscars like Meryl did. On the other hand, Paris Hilton is a celebrity. Her business is being a celebrity, and especially in fashion. So here's our picture now of what we think the solar system is like. There is a toroidal-like belt out beyond Neptune, actually starting about the orbit of Neptune and extending outward. And that belt is populated with millions of debris and belt. And it was named after Gerard Kuiper. So that's our picture of it now. Now, some interesting things about Pluto was in 1978, James Christie of the U.S. Naval Observatory was studying photographic plates of Pluto, working on improving Pluto's orbit parameters, when he noted that Pluto had an irregular blob attached to its side. Did someone kick the telescope during the picture? Well, the other stars in the plate were round, and the blob itself seemed to move around Pluto every 6.4 days. Charon was thus discovered in 1978, and it was confirmed when it began to eclipse Pluto every 6.4 days. This is from the Hubble telescope image. And what do you know? They had a couple other little guys. And I think there's two more beyond Nix and Hydra now that they may have discovered. But an interesting thing is that Charon is rather quite large compared to Pluto. In rough draft, this is just rough here, but Pluto is about twice the diameter of Charon, and it's 17,500 kilometers away. And as Pluto travels in its orbit, starting from the right and moving toward the left, its plane of orbit with Charon gradually comes into line with us, such that by 1988, it's almost exactly, we're almost exactly looking at the plane. And it's at that point that Pluto and Charon eclipse one another regularly in that. So the orbital orientation produced a series of eclipses between 1985 and 1991. They've provided detailed information about both bodies, their sizes and their orbits. So we knew that. Here's a more detailed schematic. With a mass of Pluto at 12.7 and Charon 1.9, the ratio is Pluto is 6.7 times more massive than Charon. But the center of mass lies outside of Pluto. It lies between the two. The nearest thing we can think about this on Earth is if the South American bolero, he has these rakes that he slings around and throws, and they are rotating about one another. That's what Pluto and Charon are doing. Charon's face is locked onto Pluto, like the moon's face is locked onto the Earth. But Pluto's face is locked onto Charon in the same way. So that if you were on Pluto, Charon would never move. If you were on Charon, Pluto would never move. There'd be no phases like with our moon. An interesting fact. So these are things we have been able to derive. Comparison with Earth, that's about the difference. And now let's look at Pluto's statistics. By 2010, Pluto's mass is 1.31 times 10 to the 22 kilograms. It's less than 0.25% of that of the Earth. It is a very eccentric orbit. Near term, it is stable. But hey, guys, it passes through the Kuiper belt. God knows what will happen in the future. So it's chaotic future. Orbital period, they got that right. 248 Earth years, roughly. Here's an animation. Again, I think Phil Hudson pulled this up for us, showing Pluto rotating. This is the best we had out of the Hubble. And these are individual images. So I guess we wanted to get a better look at it, however. Before I go further on that, we might note that there are other trans-Neptunian objects now that have been discovered. Eris, Pluto, and Charon is still pretty unique because of the size of Charon. Makemake, Haumea, obviously discovered from a telescope out of Hawaii, Sedna, Orcus, and so we're finding more. There are people who, when we get larger telescopes, bring them online and start doing this kind of survey searching for them. So Pluto has companions. But we decided that we wanted to see them up close. So this is a depiction of about the year 2010. We launched New Horizons spacecraft in January of 2006, and it was due to arrive in 2015. And here it shows in 2010, it has gotten a boost from Jupiter and Saturn and is heading out halfway to Pluto at that time. But 2015 was the magic day. The objectives are to map the surface composition of Pluto and Charon, characterize geology and morphology, the look of Pluto and Charon, characterize the neutral atmosphere of Pluto and its escape rate, search for an atmosphere around Charon, map surface temperatures on Pluto and Charon, and search for rings and additional satellites around Pluto. We did find a couple more. Plus, conduct similar investigations of one or more Kuiper belt objects up there. So the following images now are from NASA's images website for the New Horizon mission. And this is the link for it. If you go there, you find it nestled among 10,000 other images that they have. And they have, it's like a library, and they can show you some different things. I've picked up some things just to show you. Bingo, first overview. If you loved the planet, hey, it loved you right back. That Valentine's looking at you, and that's got to endear people to the planet even more, even besides the name. If you spread it out and select different regions to look at, you begin to see that there's already some features that have some names. You notice the name Bernie there for the faint crater that you see to the center left. Tombaugh Regio is the area of the heart, and that line, that link running down to the left, maybe part of the lungs. Who knows what? At any rate, there are some names. Sleipner, Tartarus, Dorsa, Virgil, Elliot, and Jenny Walk, Godwall, and I don't know for what reason, but they've started to put these to the different regions. There is an atmosphere, at least now. There may be a time when it's far away that the atmosphere may congeal and snow down onto the surface of the planet. But at any rate, we can measure its density if the spacecraft can see a particular star, like on the left-hand side of this. You can see a couple of stars. We know their brightness, but if they're dimmed a bit by seeing them through the atmosphere, we can determine the density of the atmosphere at a certain particular altitude above the planet's surface. And so that's how Voyager, or New Horizons, was able to do this. This is the closest view of Pluto. It looks a lot like a sandy desert, except it's not sand, it's snows. And there are different paths that seem to have been carved in that. I'll refrain from using the word canals on that regard. However, there are some rough bladed terrains. You see there's a sort of a large gash. Has to be a tremendous canyon or trench there on the upper right. There are methane snow caps on some of the rough areas in the region that is shown in the small box on the right. Notice the yardstick. We've gone back to miles now for yardsticks. It's 50 miles across. I would say that this box here is about 300 miles across. And another area shows a varying distance, flat plains to the upper part of the image on the right, hummocky margins in the plains in the middle, rugged highlands in the mountainous areas. And interesting feature, halo craters. I'm not sure what they consist of, methane or something else, but they're seen in false color light. Perhaps shows them up a little better. And this is that region with a large canyon blown up and shown. And it looks a little bit like a spider if you think of the midpoint on the right is a basin which should be the spider's body, with the thorax at the junction of a bunch of rifts, and then the legs that appear to stretch out. But yeah, we can use our imagination. We didn't neglect Charon. This is the view that New Horizons got of Charon, and it is a little subplanet dwarf of its own almost, but it is a moon, so we won't reclassify it. There's an area there in the middle that contains some highlands rising above a basin there. If you look at the image on the right, they appear to be cliffs rising above a plain with a trough in between. And the top of the cliffs rises around 7 miles above the surface. So this is what we've known, what we've learned. There's a lot more. If you would like to go to that link on the website, and I think I may have told you more than I know. So I'll quit at this time, and I will entertain 1 or 2 questions. Okay? Okay. Oh. I'll let you. Thanks, Jim.
There you
Okay. We should pass.
Gene,
Yeah.
did New Horizon ever run into or find another Kuiper Belt object? Did it ever actually find the second Kuiper Belt object?
It's. I think they had their eye on one. They've done. I know they did some adjustments, and they're it's on its way, I think, to a new rendezvous. If you go to the website, they'll describe that as progress, because there are people adding new things to that New Horizons every day.
I got a question. One of the classifications for a planet is for something to orbit it, is that right?
Yes, the Astronomical Union refined their requirements for being called a planet versus a subplanet.
So
a dwarf
because
planet. One of it is the planet has to clear out the area of its orbit. It's large enough to do that. That's one main thing. Pluto fails that in spades. Yeah.
so it's not because its mass is outside or center of mass is outside and it orbits something.
Well, indirectly it is, because you have to reach a certain mass size before you can start clearing out your path around the sun. And so I think the Astronomical Union is safe in making those boundaries. Now, for the people who did not want Pluto to die, and there are books up saying how I killed Pluto and why it had it coming. Actually, Pluto is an interesting object in its own right, just like Paris Hilton. It's just not going to win an Oscar.
It didn't clear out the Kuiper Belt in front of it. That's
Thank you very much for a really well-researched and interesting talk. Mike Brown wrote that book about how I killed Pluto and why it had it
Mike
coming.
Brown.
And I brought that in, passed it around to some members. Hopefully it's going to continue to get passed around.
Yeah, there are some
But-
interesting things associated with that. As you might know, or would expect, if you're going to see dimmer objects, you're going to have bigger telescopes. And as these large telescopes came online, we have people that started looking, and they didn't want to be caught like Clyde Tombaugh was, with a pronouncement. And so if they look at it, they want to study it first before disclosing it. And there was an incident that Brown described in his book. He's being very careful not to point fingers, but there was a graduate student at the university in Spain. Is it Madrid, was it? And they looked at the telescope that Brown was using. How can they do that? They go online and they look at what the scope is looking at. And as part of the name online is the coordinates of what it was looking at. And he said, hey, they're looking at something. They're not scanning. They're looking, maybe there's something there. Quick, let's go see if we can see it and we'll announce it. And they did that. And because Brown was going to take the time to find out more about it, required more study, he lost the ability to name it.
The Brown.
And the Astronomical Union backpedaled on that, said, we're not accusing anybody of anything, but they refused to give it a regular.
And I think since he discovered Eris actually had a greater mass than Pluto, and
Yeah.
that's kind of what
That's
did
true.
Pluto in.
Yeah.
Right.
There is another thing I want to leave you with. Now, they think it's about the size and mass of Neptune out there in the dark, waiting to be discovered by a larger telescope. Okay. Don't hold your breath. I'm done.
Yes. Any questions out on Zoom? No? Okay.
We're good.
Thank you very much, Gene. Ed had a little bit he wanted to go into. Thank you very much. So Ed has the Tombaugh book, and he has a few notes and comments he'd like to make about the book. And
I thought there were some interesting things about Clyde Tombaugh. He had a great career after he left Lowell Observatory. Am I too far out? Okay. Go. Hello. Anyways, they kind of lost their funding as the war was winding down and everything else. So they told him you ought to go get another job, whatever like that. Well, his brother-in-law called him and says, well, you need to come down here to White Sands Missile Range. He says, we're doing some great stuff down here. And he says, we're going to
open the book and show
okay.
the signatures to the camera.
Oh, yeah, that's why it didn't show. Yeah, there they are from 1990.
That's the author of the book, and Clyde Tombaugh himself signed it.
So anyways, he went down there and they hired him to do optical things there, to take pictures of missile tests and stuff like that. And he wasn't put in the Air Force, whatever like that, but he had a kind of a civilian ranking like lieutenant colonel with about 40 people under him or whatever like that. So basically, this was kind of like cutting edge new stuff. They had they were using 10-inch tracking scopes, and then later they moved it up to 16-inch. Cinetheodols, which is kind of like movie things or whatever like that they used or whatever like that, you know. And that was German technology that they stole at the end of World War II. And they also used 3 Bowen Knapp fixed cameras. They put one 1 mile west, 1 mile east, 1 mile north of the launch, and they could triangulate and try to get the measurements on the thing there. And I didn't realize that they always put the stripes on the side of the missile so they could tell if the thing was rotating. The same with the fins on the back, black, white, whatever like that. So he had said to this stuff. They also had a couple Princeton ballistic cameras, whatever like that. So he was in the thing here to do this stuff, whatever like that, and spent a number of years there. So he had him set up as T1 through T5 as far as his tracking things like that. And so they managed to do a lot of stuff there. And so things usually went well. What they did is they captured a bunch of German Nazi scientists, brought them over on Operation Paperclip, stuck them down there in Las Cruces, Alamogordo, whatever like that, and put them to work. Well, things went, they got about 100 or 200 V2 rockets. And sometimes things would go a little bit wrong. One time they reverse wired it. And so basically what happened, the White Sand Missile Range, if you don't know where it's at, it's pretty close to the border. So it's supposed to fly north. Well, it went up and it flew south, 180 degrees south. It flew over El Paso, flew over the international border, and crashed into a cemetery in Juarez, Mexico. Luckily, Juarez was having a fiesta at the time. So they probably thought it was another firecracker or something like that, you know. No, it didn't say anything in the book about here if any of the residents in the cemetery complained. The V2s, when they crashed, they dug out about a 20-foot crater, and that's with no warhead. That's just, you know, it would just crash out. Another time the guidance system failed, it went straight up, and then it didn't guide it, it didn't turn it away. So it went straight up, ran out of fuel, and came back down. So everybody was just hauling keister to get the hell out of the way. So it went, I think it was between cameras 2 and 3, 100 yards away when that thing hit. So it's like after that, they decided they had to do slit trenches. So they had an escape there in case the thing would go there. So I thought it was kind of fascinating and kind of interesting thing there. Also, the one I think is camera 2, which was closest to the launch, the rocket launch there. They could do spectrographical analysis of the exhaust. And usually it was very high in sulfur. One time they had some traces of a couple hydrocarbons into the spectrograph thing. And so they deducted from that basically the oxygen pipe was blocked. So they were able to figure things out there. So sometimes things went good, sometimes things went bad. So he did that from like 45 until 53 or 54. America, they got into the American rockets, you know, the Nikes and all the other stuff there. And then it kind of went down. And then he went back into academia and finished out his career teaching. I think New Mexico, North Mexico, New State, whatever. Anyways, he finished up out there, you know, he got a nice cushy academia job there to finish out his career. So anyways, this is about, I don't know, you probably still get it, you still probably get it on Amazon if you're interested. The first part I thought was kind of, man, I couldn't do that. That is very tedious doing blinking. And it gets in here, it says how many plates he had to go through. And if he had anything else scheduled that he had to do, he got way backed up on this blinking thing. Sometimes he was like almost a year behind. Well, that ruined his data because then you're into another cycle, another lunar cycle thing or whatever, however they figured this stuff there. So anyways, he was the guy that actually did the stuff at the time there. So anyway. Oh, you want this? Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Ed. Very interesting. Thanks a lot. And by the way, once the
that information will fit in
once the presentation is uploaded,
your presentation
that'll make it available
about rockets.
on YouTube.
Yeah.
In Gene's previous presentation that I mentioned, the one on the history of Fort Wayne Astronomical is already uploaded and linked, and the link is on the new video link page in the eyepiece. If you want to go back and look at that or any of the presentations that we made in the last year, there'll be a rolling 12-month schedule. So each of the presentations will be visible to you in the eyepiece, you know, for almost a year. And then there's a number of others that are, you know, selected by the staff as far as being premium videos. They're all very good. So taking advantage of them. Yes, but the links are there to make it very easy access. Okay, so again, thank you very much, Gene. Appreciate it. So we had some astro photos to show. So come on up and we'll figure out how to plug them in and take a look, or we could start online. Is there anybody on the Zoom link, the Zoom call that would like to show anything? That looks like a no. So come on up. How are we gonna plug this in? Where are the ports?
Alright, so I have never taken astrophotography photos like this. I didn't do this. A buddy of mine took this with his telescope. He's got a Red Cat 61. It's on a Star Adventure GTI mount. And all controlled by ASI Air Plus. And this was just done by a regular DSLR. But he gave me this image to process in PixInsight. I've been down this rabbit hole with PixInsight and studying it and learning about it for the last maybe 3 or 4 months. So he gave me this file and I just processed it for him. And this was the end results here. This was about just shy of 3 hours of total exposure time.
You like pixel insights?
It's very complicated.
But do you like it?
I do. I do.
You dropped your buzz. Oh, that fuzzy thing. Thank you.
This is
Oh, yeah.
the Orion Nebula, same telescope, same setup, same everything. Again, it was all processed in PixInsight. Down there a bit.
No, it's within M42 complex, so zoom in. There you go, there it is, right there, right on. That's at the club.
This was probably only about an hour and a half total exposure time here. Back up the folder. So these are from the Sea Star. I'm sure you all are pretty familiar with this. My buddy Bill. I couldn't tell you the total exposure time on this, but he sent me this file, the Horsehead Nebula.
Yeah. We have many sea stars in the club.
Yeah,
In fact, the club owns a sea star, so.
okay.
Oh, thanks.
And that's, again, the Orion Nebula from the Sea Star. Looks a bit different from.
It's pretty good.
And so this is from my telescope, actually. I took a video of the eclipse back in April, and I took that entire video file of the totality and stacked it in, I think it was called Registacks. And this is the final image, but I was way too excited to recenter it. I have no tracking mounts, so everything was all hand controlled, and trying to look through an eyepiece with a solar filter on it. It was quite complicated to find the sun in the first place, but having to track it the entire time.
But did you enjoy the eclipse?
I did. It was incredible.
What was your location?
I was down in Bluffton.
Oh, okay.
Then I took this same program. I did a video and stacked it in Registacks.
This is what telescope you use?
It's a Orion 600 ST,
Okay, so what's the aperture?
5 inches.
Okay. And it's about six.
It's a simple reflector
That's about what
telescope.
I expect, yeah.
So these next images, I don't have any source for them. When I was researching PixInsight, I was scouring the web for information and videos and all kinds of things.
Right.
But I was able to find some TIFF files of a few things, and these were actually the first time I messed with PixInsight, but I don't know who took these images. But this is Pleiades.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Great shot. Great shot, yeah.
Can you share your screen, please?
Oh,
I'm not sharing. Oh my gosh.
It says
It
it's
says
sharing,
it's sharing.
so you're not seeing a change? You maybe need to restart it because you changed folders. Okay, maybe you gotta hit.
Where do we go?
Stop share. Yeah, hit the stop share. Okay, and now go to share. It's the.
Okay, so then you just gotta go to,
Pick your image folder. Should work by folder.
yeah, you gotta be careful and go to the application window, click on that, and then.
This year?
Yeah, double click on that, and then select what you wanna show, I think.
I'm not sure. Thanks for letting us know. Didn't
Yeah.
realize we weren't sharing.
Can you
Do you see it now? Do you see a nebula? North American?
Bill? Hello?
You're muted.
No,
No,
Not yet? You like to maybe share the image.
We'll figure this out.
What's it say? Oh,
Yeah.
it's-
Yeah. I mean, it should always say, you know.
This isn't okay. Are you still here?
Yeah. Let me see if I can help you, but I don't know. Sometimes it surprises me. It does. You can see what
Zoom
it's
is still up, isn't it?
okay, but see when you share it. So you gotta. Share that.
You should just be able to share the viewer. No?
Yeah. Just. Okay, where's my sharing? Okay, okay, but I'm sharing the screen, just not. Yeah, go ahead, I gotta unshare this. I don't think that was right. I just.
What's that?
Yeah. Well, I don't understand.
You just share the image. That's supposed to be the best.
Yeah, but. Yeah,
My
sorry.
lithium battery pack went dead, so I went to look up FWAS.com. There is no more.
Okay, are you
You
there?
can see it now, Bill.
It says they can see your application.
yes, very nice. Yes,
Good.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
we got it.
okay, so.
Should I start over?
Just scroll. Yeah. Just
You can if you want to, I don't care. We could cut out all the bad video.
This is
Just a lot of work.
North American.
Yeah, North American. That was my first image I brought.
Now, can you scroll? Is that
No,
a viewer?
I tried doing that. Yeah. It's not- There it is.
Oh, so there, no, wait, you see the Pleiades, Bill? Bill?
yes, yes, we do.
Okay,
Good,
good,
thank you.
all right,
Yeah.
thanks. You're now officially the AV chief.
Well, if any of you guys have images that you have as a TIFF file, I would love to process it and pick the site. That'd be great.
Does anyone else use Pixel Insights yet in the group? Does Geddes uses it?
Like the master of
Yeah.
using it.
Geddes is on our groups.io page, so you should join that, and you'll be able to get to Geddes and ask him questions and share images, and
Yeah,
so sign up. Get on our groups page.
he's been doing this for like a long time.
I'm probably gonna buy guides. It's a good resource. It's free. Thank you very much. Phil, you had something? We all need help. I think we just jam it in the side here. This. Not that direction. Right. It's good. Now we just have to find it. Okay. Let's stop sharing.
This was taken with the dwarf telescope.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the objective on this is the size of a quarter.
So, the neat thing about these smart telescopes is that you can put your camera outside and work them from the inside. So, let's see if I can get to the next one here. Do I double click on it or?
No, just click on the arrow. Or use the arrow key.
Oh, arrow key.
What was the exposure time, Phil? How long did?
This was, about an hour, total of 15-second exposures. Okay, well,
What is it again?
well, is there an arrow key?
Yeah, right here, right there. Try that one.
Okay, yeah, this is the Flaming Nebula on the right. This was taken last night, and it was 10 degrees out, at 68 in the kitchen where I was.
68 is cool.
But we're cheap,
Oh, I guess.
yeah. And, so, that came out pretty well. I used just Photoshop and, StarNet. The two black corners there, this actually, I stitched it today, so I brought in the other, one at the bottom left, and registered them, stitched them. So that's why you see those, things. And this is a little, just a shapeless, nebula in the, I think it's in the club of Orion. And this is, yeah, 256 exposures, so 15 seconds each, so it's basically an hour and 4 minutes total time. That's all I got, so.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, you can go ahead and do that. That's all we've got tonight, so feel free to stay and make some new friends, or just chat with old friends, and thanks for coming out on such a cold night. We have a question from Pete.
Why don't you talk about your recent revelation on your, on that weird star, what do they call
Oh,
star.
yeah,
The Blaze
TCRB, the Blaze Star, yes.
Have you had a chance to get any spectra to see?
I personally haven't. So the question was, what's going on with the Blaze Star, T Corona Borealis? And the answer is that I've been receiving astronomical telegrams from the Astronomical Telegram Union. And what they're doing is reporting that the activity on TCRB, the Blaze Star, is starting to pick up. And what they mean by that, it looks like it's starting to glow a lot brighter, that it's getting brighter, and that they're seeing other indications that that are pointing towards a nova event. They still can't say exactly when, but the fact that it's changing and changing a lot in a relatively short period of time makes them think that it's going to come sometime within the next 12 months.
Great, that's not visible compared to anyway.
Yes, it is. You just have to get up in the middle of the night, and then you can go out and see it. Except, of course, for the fact that we haven't had more than 4 days of clear skies anytime since Halloween. So that makes it very difficult around here. It's very sad when the people that live around London, I'm in a group that discusses spectra every 2 weeks, and the Blaze Star is one of the target stars, and there are people from all over the world that are members of this group. And the people that live near London have infinitely better weather than we've been having. Not only is it warmer, it's clearer, and clearer very much consistently. In cloudy, rainy England, and we get nothing. And this one particular individual has just been banging away at it for the past year, almost uninterrupted. So here we are living under a cloud dome, and he does not.
This is the fifth or sixth polar vortex, isn't it?
I lost count. It's just been horrible.
There was five storms in a row off the west coast.
Yeah, and we've gotten clouds for every single one of them.
At least
So
we didn't get 8 inches of rain like Louisville.
that's true. So we didn't have that. But the Blaze Star is starting to show some life. It was interesting a year ago when I was actually taking spectra of it, when we had clear skies and it was in the nighttime sky. It would be a huge burden to get out to the observatory right now. So I'm not really that unhappy about the fact that it's been, near 0 degrees and cloudy, because that means I haven't had to make the decision about whether I want to drive out to the observatory at 1 in the morning so I could be set up by 2 in the morning, take spectrum until dawn. That's kind of a rough one, and then figure out how to get home without having frostbit fingers, setting up and tearing down. But it is theoretically possible, and it is getting into the time where it could happen. But the scientists, the true astrophysicists that are in this group that I'm in, caution that it could be. It is leading up to, of course, but there's no reason to believe that it's going to happen anytime real soon. It will happen. And the expectation is, because there are so many people monitoring, professional and amateurs that are monitoring this star, that we're probably going to see, we're probably going to get rather some leeway, some time before it actually pops when the indications get to be really strong. So I'm sending out ATELs to the imaging members of the group. If anybody else wants to be on the ATEL list, drop me an email or tell me after the meeting here, and so that's the update on the Blaze Star.
The Blaze Star is rising out at 10:59. So
Yes, but it has to get up a little bit.
months from now, it'll be. So,
That'll be okay. That'll be more humane. That'll be much better for the rest of us. But you could get it now. You just have to get up and be willing to suffer the cold and the early morning hours.
yeah.
So again, if you want to be on the ATEL list, let me know and I'll put you on the list. Anything else? Well, thank you very much for coming. Remember, next month is we're going to see the spring constellations and get ready for spring viewing. Maybe we'll have some clear skies by then. I hope so. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Appreciate it, and drive safe.